One Meal provides a central location for you to connect with people, to help the homeless. It's a good starting point. So you can come down, you can help the homeless, you can satisfy your needs for wanting to help someone, and you don't have to search all over. You can just come to One Meal and go from there.
And just get it done.
Yeah.
Ready? Ready to rock and roll? Is that action? All right. Okay.
That's right.
All right.
Absolutely. Go. Go.
Hello, everybody. It's Jason Will with
Go.
This is a real estate podcast, but we talk about leadership, personal growth, and becoming the best version of yourself. Leadership, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Growth, best version of yourself.
Go.
So this is a real estate podcast. Mike, welcome to the Impact Agent Podcast.
All right, thank you for having me.
How's it going?
It's going all right. We're doing good this morning.
Is this your first podcast ever?
It's my first podcast, yes. I've had a lot of different interviews, but never a podcast.
Well, tell us a little bit about what you do. I mean, this is the Impact Agent Podcast. I feel like you are definitely making an impact in the community, but tell us a little bit about how you're doing that and what you do.
Well, we call ourselves One Meal. I'm the leader of the pack, I guess you could say. All this started a little over 10 years ago. My daughter was the inspiration behind it. But what we do is every Sunday we go downtown Mobile and we have a food line. We start at 4 o'clock and we serve until all the food's gone or everybody's had as much as they can carry or eat. We do a food pantry, and we make it available to the people that don't have transportation. And if they do have transportation, of course, it makes it easier. They can come to us. And we've been gearing more towards North Mobile, but it's all over Mobile too. So, the weekly food line and the food pantry is basically what we do.
Well, how many people do you have that come out?
The numbers on our food line vary, 100, 150, 175. It just fluctuates. We take enough food for 150 servings, large servings, and if we have to, we can cut it back a little bit and get a few more plates out of it. Generally, we've always got enough. We got a few supporters and people that help us out since we've grown. So, we've been doing this for a little over 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's going pretty good, though. It's geared. It's the homeless, the hungry, and the working poor. There's people out there that work that can pay their utilities, their rent, what have you, and then they have nothing left for food. So we try to help out a little bit along the way.
Right. One of the reasons I wanted to have you in this morning was to talk about the resources. If you go to your personal Facebook page, it is a continual effort to raise money. But if it's money, I want you to unpack this for us. So is it money, and do you partner with local restaurants to get their leftovers? How does all this work?
Well, resources. That's a broad picture right there. I get some food from the food bank. Hunting season, I do venison, wild hog. I follow big game tournaments around for the fish. That's usually May through September. And sometimes I go to smaller tournaments and get different fish. I've got a company that periodically donates large amounts of chicken. The last was 6.5 tons.
Wow.
Of chicken, which we share with other ministries that are doing what we're doing after I get what I can fill. And I have folks that do food drives and some grocery stores that donate the right amounts of whatever we need when we're cooking a specific meal. It's from everywhere. It's it's the one person that wants to give us 2 canned goods to one company that wants to give us 200 canned goods. And I just have to stay on top of it, network the best way I can and still work a full-time job.
Well, that's what I was going to say. How do you manage it?
I fly off the seat of my pants. I have to be real flexible with things. Work schedule's pretty steady, so I can kind of work around it. We just make it work. I've got organizations that have stepped up, and once a month they cover my Sunday that I have to work day shift, so somebody covers the meal. Other than that, it's just a network of people. You know, I've got folks in different parts of town that'll help out, and if something needs to be delivered or picked up, you know, or taken to somebody, you know, as far as a grocery delivery, just put it out there on Facebook, and folks answer up and help out.
How many volunteers does it take to handle a given feeding of 150 people?
To actually serve the food line, 6 to 8 people, that is the norm. As far as doing everything, that it all depends on what you cook, you know, how good you are. It's like me, I'll cook for 150 people and I'll do it by myself, and it's not a problem. Other people might need help doing that. So, you know, if you got a small army, you're doing good. If you got 4 or 5 people, you're doing good. It just depends on how apt you are at cooking and serving food.
So what if you had to put a finger on like your greatest need right now? Is it the actual food? Is it volunteers? Is it money?
Right at the moment, I need to start restocking the canned goods and the non-perishable items, you know, dry beans. Well, we got plenty of rice right now, but dry beans, pastas, pretty much whatever's in most folks' pantries right now is same thing we can use. Our rule of thumb on food is if you can eat it, we can use it.
Right.
But I really do need to get the canned goods and other non-perishables brought back up, and I've got to restock the freezers also because they're getting low.
Yeah. And I guess, do you just have like you got some big freezers and big places to store this stuff?
Yes, we have 8 by 24 building with shelves on one side. It's climate controlled. We've got freezers in there. We've also got big refrigerators, double door, restaurant style refrigerators for storage of produce and eggs and milk and stuff like that.
Well, I think if it's okay with you, you know, now we've kind of gotten some of the, you know, we've quantified, you know, who you are, how this organization works, and gotten through some of the nuts and bolts. What I have found with people is that, you know, they're very busy with their own lives, and they may look at this, watch this, hear this, and go, well, Mike's got it under control. He's got plenty of volunteers. People are donating food and money and resources and time and all that stuff. And so he's good. He's doing a great thing. Kudos to Mike. But what I have found is that if you could share some stories, maybe some stuff that you have witnessed, you know, really paint a picture of the need, or even a specific individual that you don't have to reference by name, but maybe you could tell us a story from over these past 10 years that will resonate with the audience, that will maybe, you know, activate something in here in their heart.
Well, one person stands out. About 10 years ago, we met this person, and at that time, he had a gunshot wound to the leg, and he's homeless, so there's no medical care, or limited medical care, let's put it that way. But for the life of One Meal, he's been eating with us every Sunday. He'd come down. Then it ended up getting worse and worse, and he finally got to go home. The good Lord called him home. But watching this person over the years struggle with what happened, how he was living, his whole circumstances, I mean, it's hard to believe that, you know, here and everything we've got for resources, that somebody has to go through something like that. You know, One Meal can only do what we do, and we try to help along the way, you know, if we can make somebody comfortable or whatever. But that person, you know, he was always there, you know, and always in a pleasant mood, even though his circumstances were really blight.
Well, I think a lot of people have maybe a perception of what they feel like is the reality for people that are in this, you know, area of need, that are going hungry. You know, maybe a lot of probably the overwhelming attitude that you're probably faced with is that people feel like it's a handout, and why aren't they doing something to change their circumstances and all that kind of thing. And
my calling, those originating circumstances on One Meal, it's not on us to figure out why this person is the way they are, why are they not working, can't they help themselves. That is none of our business. Our calling was to feed folks that are hungry. You know, we're not there to try to solve their life problems or anything. We're just there to be friends, provide a little food, make sure they, have something to eat. That's our calling, and everything else we do is just a blessing on them.
Yeah, so it comes down, and I wrote down here in my notes that, the calling is to answer the need, not necessarily to try to figure out where the need comes from, or much less provide judgment about why a person is in need. It is just, the calling is to serve.
Right.
And that's it. I'm in real estate, so I was at a real estate conference, and we had a guest speaker that was talking about giving, and they, if they see a panhandler on the side of the road, whether they're going to take that $1 or $5 or whatever they roll down their window to give them to go buy booze or not, that's not for them to make a judgment on. The answer,
right.
There's a need there, they're going to give. And you give, with the hope that they'll go buy a meal. But
if God directs you to give something to somebody, you've done what you're supposed to be doing. You can't try to control what everybody else is going to do with whatever you help them with. You help for your sake. You don't help to try to figure out why what you're doing is helping somebody else. Just do it for you, because that's what your calling is for.
Yes. So you mentioned that that this started 10 years ago, really, that your daughter, I think, had a vital role in that.
Yeah.
Is there a story behind that?
The way it all started was we went to the Propeller Club chili cook-off. It was at Cooper Riverside Park. Mm-hmm. And we were there just helping a friend that was in the cook-off. I decided to let everybody have a winning chance this time, and I didn't get in it. So. But anyhow, we were down there, and after it was over with, a lot of the homeless folks, come looking for anything they could get to eat. And I believe everybody that had chili left over from the cook-off, I think everybody fed them. But on the way home, my daughter wasn't talking, and she was kind of teary. She's usually always talking. But anyhow, I asked her what was going on. She told me she didn't realize that folks had to beg and scrounge for something to eat. And so I kind of told her a little bit about how things were, reality. And she said she wanted to do something to help them. So we went the following day, which was a Sunday. Then we took 2 dozen sandwiches, a case of water, and a box of assorted chips, the Lay's chip stuff. Mm-hmm. And we went to Bienville Square. And that was the first Sunday we went, and that was 10 and a half years ago. We've never missed a Sunday since. Now,
how old was
as far as One Meal has never missed a Sunday. And as far as my family goes, we've probably only missed about a dozen of them in 10 years.
Wow. And how old was your daughter at this point?
She was 13 then.
13 years old.
13 years old, and I don't know if God was trying to send the message to her or to me or both of us or to me through her, but that's how it worked.
Wow. And is she still involved in the program today?
She does. She helps. The whole family helps. She's kind of a little more busy with working at the hospital and second job. She's got 2 jobs, so her time's limited. But she helps when need be.
Yeah.
I just ask her and she schedules it in. So.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I mean, given the things that come up in life, that to say like in 10 years you've never missed a Sunday.
Yep, never missed a Sunday.
I mean, that's pretty remarkable.
I've been down there in the worst storms. I remember one time we did a fish fry and wasn't planning on the rain, but it showed up. So we're under umbrellas frying fish, but we had a fish fry in the rain.
Yeah, that's awesome. I imagine, with the holidays coming up, do you guys do anything special for the holidays, or you're just out there on schedule, just feeding?
We're on schedule every Sunday, because you'll find during Thanksgiving and Christmas, especially both those 2 holidays, a lot of folks come out on those holidays to want to help. Different organizations, churches, there'll be a lot of food going on. So what we do is we give them the security that they know that every Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock, they can get a meal.
I think this is a good kind of distinction to make here, to draw a line in the sand and go, all right, well, holidays are when people are typically in that giving spirit.
Yes.
But what you are bringing to light here is that these people need to eat every other week of the year.
Yeah.
And
there's 50 more weeks, But, I'd rather them come out, those folks that want to help, that don't help any other time, I'd rather them come out on those 2 days and do something. Bring your church down, provide a meal anywhere for them than not do it at all.
Yeah.
People have their own lives and different schedules, and I just try to stay on top of it so they don't forget we're out there. But, it's like our food pantry. The food pantry is as needed. I make it work. There's not a scheduled pickup time. There's no forms to fill out or anything. You just contact me, and one way or another, you get your food, whether you come and get it or we send it to you.
Yeah. And I want to get there too, because I think there's a couple big rocks that I think we need to tackle. And number one is, I'm hoping that this is kind of going to be a catalyst for people to pick up a cause. So maybe feeding the hungry is not their cause or not their mission.
It doesn't have to be. You don't have to. If you want to help somebody, there's all kind of ways. You don't have to feed them. You can maybe through your church have a blanket drive and just do nothing but blankets. Ponchos, something simple like a poncho and a can of off. These are things that help homeless people. Socks, they go through a lot of socks because, they're walking a lot.
Yeah.
And this time of year, as everybody's finding out, it's starting to get to where it's cooling off a little bit.
Right.
Jackets, coats, scarves, cold weather gear. And with One Meal, where we're at, if an organization wanted to hand out anything, we're there every Sunday at 4 o'clock, and all you got to do is just show up.
And what's the exact location where you're at on Sundays?
108 North Dearborn Street.
So that's an ideal time for them to just find people in need. Because I think one of the things that or issues that people have, we've talked about people being busy with their own lives, is they don't know where to go, how to get involved, what organizations are actually doing the best work or worthy, or they want to see their donations actually put to use. And, and you've got this kind of turnkey ready operation where whether they want to donate their time, they want to donate food, or they have a whole other need that they want to fill.
And also on Sunday, there's other organizations that help with One Meal that if you come down there on a Sunday, you can link up with them to what their organizations are doing on days other than Sundays. Because we've had folks branch off of One Meal and start doing their own thing. And at our location, that St. Louis Street Missionary Baptist Church, there's a Tuesdays, Thursdays, and I think Saturday, there's food available there. I think North Mobile Baptist Church is not North Mobile, but Mobile Baptist Church, just right next door here. They do a Saturday, and they also cook for One Meal once every 4 months.
Wow.
So it's such a broad network of stuff you can do, and One Meal provides a central location for you to connect with people, to help the homeless. It's a good starting point. And like you said, it's a central place. So you can come down, you can help the homeless, you can satisfy your needs for wanting to help someone, and you don't have to search all over. You can just come to One Meal and go from there.
And just get it done.
Yeah.
Well, I think, there's an argument to be made here too about, I think a lot of people that are going to consume this information, and whether listening to it or watching us here on Facebook, they're probably going through something, or they may just be unhappy. It could be a lack of fulfillment. And I would just kind of throw this out there that if people are, just not in a good place in their life for whatever reason. Whether they hate their job or they have a bad family life, or, they're just dissatisfied or, discontent, that this is a way, getting involved with One Meal or any of these multiple organizations out there that are dedicated to serving, this is a way that they can kind of fill a gap within themselves. Would you agree?
Yeah. There's nothing but good that happens with One Meal. And if that's what you need, then come on down.
You'll put them to work.
Yeah, I'm good about putting people to work. I will direct folks to doing anything and everything. Because when we set up, when we pull up down there, we usually there anytime from 3 o'clock to 3:30. Come 4 o'clock, we serve, and usually by 5 o'clock, we're already packing up and gone.
Wow. That is incredible.
It is. Over the years, I've gotten it to where it's streamlined, it's methodical, and we show up, we set up, we serve, pack up, and we leave. So if you've got a group of folks that really want to help out, an hour and a half of one afternoon, you can come serve. Now, if you do the food and everything, of course, it would be a little more. But if you're just coming to serve, hour and a half out of your day, and you could help somebody, make somebody's day a little bit brighter.
And then in return, brightening up your own day.
Yeah, One Meal is for the folks that need to be served and for the people that need to serve. So it covers both angles. Everybody's in need of something. Whether you're on the street in need of meal or you feel the need to want to help somebody. So One Meal is there.
What I have found is, personally, I've come from a place where I looked at the fulfillment of life in the form of monetary value. So to lead a fulfilling life, you had to have money, or, you had to be rich, or, it was just possessions and all that stuff, which I still think money's cool and all. I want to make that. I'm not, money is good for the good it can do. And I have a lot of cool experiences and am able to provide a great life for my kids, which I want to get to in a second. But at the end of the day, what I find is you go to these experiences you have or these things that you own, they're never really as good as you thought they were going to be. And, you never truly own anything unless you give it away. The value of it is not there unless it is providing for somebody else, filling a need in some way. And so that's the kind of the challenge I want to pass out to the audience, because I know a lot of people out there are negative and miserable, and they're getting in arguments with people about politics on Facebook right now as we sit here, when that's an energy that should be or could be donated to a worthy cause like One Meal.
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up. I have come across a lot of opinionated people.
Yes.
That's a nice way I can put that.
That's probably the nicest way you could put it.
That have shown their concerns and their wishes for One Meal and for the folks that I help. Everybody's got an opinion. It's taken me a while, and sometimes I take it to heart, and I'll blow up on folks. I'm human too. I have a tendency to get a little ornery, I guess you could say, when people start dogging One Meal, or the people we help, and anything that around that. So I've gotten a lot better about getting used to the people and realizing there's going to be negativity about it. It's only hurting them in the long run. So, you got to let it go. You got to just realize that you're just here. Enjoy life. Help somebody if you can. Don't sweat it.
Yeah. So the big takeaway there is, I think that, the enjoyment of life is actually rooted in the service of others.
Yeah. Well, you got to take care of yourself, take care of your family, but there's also, everybody's got a little bit of time. They can help somebody, or help One Meal, help somebody, helping somebody else, help somebody. And that's still helping. There's no reason that all of us can't get along, and food's easy. Food's easy to come by. And if you can't get the food, send a little donation to get the food, get supplies with. Just say a little prayer. All of it. We need it all. We need it all. It's not just the food. It's not just the money. It's not having enough people to volunteer. It's just wanting everybody to realize that do what you can do.
I think that's a really good point, that not everybody is going to have something they can give other than prayer. I think that was a really good point to make.
Yeah.
So I want to get to kids next. And I don't know if you encourage parents to bring their kids down.
I do.
Because I know that, my wife and I talk about it a lot, and, have made it a point to take time out this holiday season to get kids in some service, in a soup kitchen or something,
We've had kids join us all the time, any age.
Well, mine are so spoiled. I want them to see, you talked about that impact that it had on your daughter. And I wonder, as she was kind of embarking on her teens, what kind of greater appreciation or gratitude that instilled in her, the work you guys did with One Meal.
Well, the thing about One Meal and organizations like One Meal, a lot of the youth, a lot of kids, their perception of a homeless person is the Hollywood version, which is overly dramatic. And what the kids will find, and I'm speaking to kids that are of age to comprehend, but once they come down there and meet some of the homeless folks and see who they're serving and see the reality of it, they see Hollywood, and then they come and see reality, and they realize that it's two different versions, and they get a big understanding. We've had kids that have taken our ideas and, went back to school and had, a coat drive or a food drive or something. But once they come down there, it very beneficial for the youth, I believe.
Yeah, I think beyond measure. I mean, especially in this, my wife and I have a very challenging 9-year-old. I mean, she's obsessed with you mentioned the Hollywood version, and she's got really, I really feel like she looks at life through these Hollywood glasses. She's got this Hollywood version of everything.
Yep.
Whether it's just, fashion or how we speak to each other or what really the goal is in life. And I think she's unfortunately inherited a lot of that materialism from me.
Right.
And we're like, we got to head this off at the pass. We got to get her exposed to the need. And, for me personally, we spent a little bit of time in the country of Panama and got to see, and the kids were with us, and they got to see people living with no electricity and dirt floors and those type of circumstances. And, you saw the light flicker on and off, but it's been about, 5 years. We're about 5 years removed from that trip. And that little lifestyle situation that we encountered there 5 years ago. And so they've lost a lot of that. And so getting them out there in the community to see this need and see what you do and all the time. I mean, there's so much that goes into this. If you look at the work you do on Facebook, the time you spend on Facebook talking to people and developing relationships, and because I'm sure volunteers come and go. It's just a continual process that has to keep moving.
One Meal is a living thing that has to be taken care of. I've got to stay on top of getting donations and funding and food and supplies and making sure people are there and making sure everything's covered. And it's easier now than it was because I've been doing it so long. I've got this one little groove I stay in, and as long as I stay in that lane, everything generally comes together. But it's, I've had people ask a lot of times, well, you just got all of that. How come you asking for more? Well, because all of that will eventually run out.
Yeah, the need never ends.
Yeah, the need never ends. So I had to stay on it, which is no problem. And, I don't mind anybody ever asking anything about it. But, yeah, it's a handful.
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking, so the big reason why we're here right now today is exposure.
Yeah.
This is a marketing effort right now to raise awareness. But, we've got a lot of talented young people across Mobile and even Baldwin County in terms of that are great with video, great with photography, and great with social media. And you talk about different ways that people can give if they don't have food to spare, if they don't have money to spare, if they don't have time to spare, maybe they have prayer to spare, right. Or maybe they could use their talents and their gifts to come down there and interview somebody or take a powerful photo. They talk about how many, that a picture, is worth 1,000 words, and to help you raise awareness that way.
If they, there's a lot of Facebook groups. If you go to the One Meal Facebook page and go over to where my groups are in there and see the groups that are following One Meal and the ones that I'm following through there, there's a lot of different resources and places and things that you can do all across Mobile and Baldwin County, because that's part of our network. So there's a lot of information you can obtain there.
Yeah, so it's a way for them to get connected.
Right. Yeah.
So, because not everybody, we've already mentioned this, but not everybody's going to be maybe as connected to feeding the hungry as they may be for, let's say, battered women, or a lot of people right now, it's let's protect our kids and abuse kids and things like that.
Well, all of that, there's links for all of that through the One Meal Facebook page. You can find out, a lot of groups that you may not even known about, you can find through there.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Just for it to be in kind of like a hub,
right,
for people and just connecting people.
Yeah, because there's a lot of places out there, and there may be something in your community even. So all I can say, if you're out and about on Facebook or on the website, just look us up and see what you find.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about the years that you devote to this, and you're 10 plus years in now. Are you looking for a successor, or how many more years do you tend to be the kind of the commander in chief of One Meal?
I don't have a clue right now. The good Lord keeps me doing it, and as long as that's happening, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I could tell you another year, another 5 years, another 10 years. I really don't have an answer for that. I'm just going to keep doing it as long as we're blessed with what we need to be able to do it.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you're going to keep doing it until you can't.
Yep.
And then once that period comes where you can no longer, let's say, physically do it, are you going to have, because if you add up this totality of hours, what's going to really, it's compounded, into this, because over those 10 years, if we take all the time you've spent over this 10 plus years dedicated to One Meal, that's going to be a lot of time you could have spent doing something else. I don't know if you like to fish or...
Well, I still get to go fishing every now and then, and I still go hunting every now and then. I make time for me.
Are you going to regret this time that you've spent with One Meal?
Not one bit.
So I think there's some powerful points that that have been subtly made during this interview that I hope people hear.
Me personally, on One Meal is One Meal is part of me. It's what I do. It's what I want to keep going. The Lord has put it on me. He knows I like to do it with food. He knows I do a lot of good cooking, and He wanted me to use that talent. And even though things have gotten to where they were almost empty in the pantry and the freezers, I've always had something to cook for the meals every Sunday. There's always something there. As long as that keeps happening, we'll keep doing it.
And one of the last things I wanted to ask you about is, I have people in this studio from time to time talking about needs, primarily on the Alabama Gulf Coast. But there seems to be a common void with organizations like yours, or just needs across our coast in terms of support from what I call influencers. And that can be anybody who is a member of the local media, whether it's, a print publication, a radio publication, or a television news outlet, but also politicians. And, it seems like, so are you feeling the love? That's what I want to, and feel free to speak candidly.
Well, and now as far as politicians, most politicians already have their own problems. We're good as far as that. If a politician wants to help on the personal level, that's fine and dandy. But as far as One Meal getting into politics and government, I kind of shy away from that. That's not what we're about. The government's doing their thing. Politicians do their thing. That's fine. It's not that I don't like politicians. It's just, politics these days ain't what it used to be.
Right.
And we're not going to go on that page.
But I feel like there's so many people, whether they be politicians or not, but that they're in a position of influence.
Well, we've had, I love Studio 10. I get to go in there and cook and talk about One Meal. That's a win-win for me. I love that. I like the exposure. The one thing I've been working on, and what I would really like to try to see happen eventually, is a small warehouse for the North Mobile area, because North Mobile County, you've got a lot of little pockets of places that have food pantries. The churches help out. They have like a little room. They have food pantries. What I was wanting to do was bring all of those folks together to one location to where food could be distributed from there to anywhere in the North Mobile area, because there's a lot of resources around the Mobile area, but when you start breaking out into the rural areas, there's really not any kind of a central place for a food pantry type service. So, I was wanting to try to get something going. I found a place and all, but, we need some folks with some pockets.
Yeah. And that's, kind of where I'm going, the path that I'm going down when I'm talking about these people of influence, because it may be somebody that has, we've had some conversations here of late of people that were maybe born underprivileged in Mobile or across Mobile County that have become a person of influence. Maybe they've become somebody who is, an academic or in the medical field, or even an attorney that's maybe, let's say, living in Nashville or Atlanta. And these people aren't coming back or using their position of influence to shine a light on where they've come from. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And then, of course, you've got people here locally that are, just in terms of the focus or the media or what they're exposing, is more towards the negative tone versus what you're doing, which is extremely positive. Yeah. There's just so much negativity out here that we're just kind of constantly filtering in daily. And then you've got Mike with One Meal, who's doing all these amazing things.
If you want to see something good that's happening, just come to One Meal. Just come downtown to the food line, and and it's not on days just when I'm there, because sometimes I'm not there. One Meal's there, but I'm not. If you want to see things positive and things good, come see what's going on, because we have people that'll come down there and preach God's truth to everybody while they're in line. It's not directed at one person. They can listen or not. We've got people that walk around and just hand out Hershey's Kisses and say, "Hey, have a nice day."
Oh, wow.
We've got people that show up with fruit and home-baked cookies and stuff and say, "Tell me about your day." Just talking to them, just being a friend, just hanging out, You don't have to get in the food line to serve. You can just go buy a bunch of cupcakes and come hand out some cupcakes and tell them to have a nice day.
I think that would be a special Sunday afternoon, just to witness that kindness.
Yeah, we've had a lot of folks. It doesn't take much, just a little bit. I mean, if you come down there and meet one person that's homeless that doesn't have a friend, then all of a sudden you decide to talk to them and be a friend.
Is there anything we haven't covered? I think we've laid out the need. If we want to recap this, and I think that's probably a good way for us to sound off, because what you said, one of the biggest needs you have right now is non-perishable items.
Yep.
And let's let everybody know that you're there every Sunday at 108 North Dearborn Street.
Right.
Feeding anywhere from 100 to 150 people.
Yep.
They can volunteer to serve in the food line, or they can just bring things that people need. And you said one of the biggest needs that you see are socks.
Yep. Well, you got, they do a lot of walking, so, burns up socks. This time of year, we're looking towards getting some warm gear for them, ponchos. And as far as now One Meal itself, you go to onemealmobile.com. Mm-hmm. That's our website. Yeah. There is a list of items if you wanted to buy anything off of our supply list. There's on there. If you want to donate, there's links and buttons on there you can use to go to different venues of donating electronically. Or, there's an address where you can mail checks or money orders if you prefer to do that. So the website's an excellent place. If you do Facebook, we have my personal page, Mike McKinley, on Facebook, and One Meal is on Facebook. If you have problems finding any of that, you can Google One Meal Mobile, and we're going to show up. You can find a lot of different stuff through doing that on Google. A lot of our videos, YouTube and stuff like that, of me cooking.
And check those out.
Different events, fishing tournaments where I get the fish from. So there's a lot of stuff you can find just by Googling us, One Meal Mobile, and our website, onemealmobile.com. We have PayPal. That's our biggest electronic version, but I also got a few others that we can be using. All that's through the website.
If somebody's got a question, if they want to reach out to you personally, I just messaged you through Facebook. Are you fine with that?
Yeah, you can message me through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We've actually got an email address. It's onemeal@bellsouth.net. And once again, all this is on our website. You can also text me. Call me, 251-379-9014. I don't always answer the phone, but you can leave me a message. I will get back to you. I'm real busy. I do a lot, and I'm always on the go. So, if I don't get right back to you, I will get to you really quick. So,
well, I appreciate you making time this morning to visit with us. Yeah. It's amazing. I think about all the the Netflix binging that I do, and all the time that I'm getting on to people, like trying to encourage people, but at the same time, there's a lot of work I need to do in terms of the amount of time that I give and what I do.
Right.
So this has been very inspiring to me personally. So
yeah. So this was a way for you to help us.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Impact Agent Podcast. If you like the show and got something out of it, please like the Impact Agent Podcast on Facebook and rate and review the show on iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts. This really helps us grow the show and helps other agents find it. Please share it with your friends and coworkers as well. Want us to deliver the show to you via email every week? Then email me at jason@impactagentuniversity.com and we'll send you the show every week. Please let us know what you think about the show, what you like, what you don't, or possibly make a suggestion about a topic you want to hear. Email me at jason@impactagentuniversity.com or leave us a message on Facebook at Impact Agent Podcast. Until next week, everybody be productive, safe, and happy, and always keep learning. This podcast is produced by Johnny Gwynn at Deep Rod Studios in Mobile, Alabama, and is paid for and powered by ImpactAgentUniversity.com.